Welcome everybody to the Ogden Way podcast. I'm Ogden City Mayor Ben Nadolski, and today we're here to talk to Luke Rasmussen, superintendent of the Ogden School District. And Luke, on this podcast, we talk about Ogden stories by telling the stories of Ogden's people. And of all people, you're the one I want to tell the most stories about, right? And I bet you feel the same way about me.
Yes.
So for anybody listening and watching, I say that because Luke is not just a dear friend of mine, but also a former teammate. So you can't tell by looking at him. Shocker, he played offensive line at Weber State at the same time that I played defensive line. So we're old teammates. That's where we became friends. And now I'm proud to say that we're two anchor leaders in our community.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm proud of you and what you've accomplished. And so it's fun to see the work that you've done and get to where you're at. And I think we have a similar story of where we came from and something that, you know, I'm really proud of.
Yeah, I am too. It's been a grind, right?
Yep.
I guess similar stories. We're both junior college football players.
Yep.
Both kind of late bloomers, right?
100%.
Which is why we went to JUCO. I don't know. I feel like when I look back at you and I on the team together, so just for context, offense and defensive line, we clash all day, every day at practice, right?
We get pretty sick of each other during camp.
Big time.
Yep.
A lot of fist fights every day.
Yes.
Mostly it was pretty much over after practice though. Right?
100%. Yeah, you leave it there.
Yeah, except for when we took it to the W. Remember the big W in the middle of the locker room?
Yes, that was always that probably can't happen anymore.
Oh, probably not, right? But back then it was like, all right, this one we're taking it to the W.
Yeah.
And then we'd go to the locker room, change it, and the team would watch you fight in the middle on the W. Right?
Oh my gosh.
That's where you finished. But
yes.
Anyway,
but no, I never left there with having a bad feeling about a teammate. That's for sure.
I didn't either, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know that I ever was on the W. I think it always ended on the field for me.
Mine always ended on the field as well.
Right.
Yep.
Well, Luke, what I know about you, actually, we used to call you the Beast. That was your nickname in college, was Beast. Hey, Beast.
Oh, that's going to get out there now. We're gonna start.
Oh, here it is.
I'll still hear it every once in a while. They'll yell it down. I'll still turn. Oh, yeah.
Will you still turn?
I'll still turn and answer, but
that's
good
funny.
times. Oh, my gosh.
Well, Luke was a pretty big cat back then. Still a big guy.
Sadly, I'm approaching playing weight, and like we need to get on the cardio train. I need to follow in your footsteps. I still like to lift, but I need to get going on some more cardio for sure. Diet, right?
Diet. You can't out exercise your diet, right?
We like chicken wings, both of us.
I do. We do.
Yeah.
So we have regular meetings, Luke and I, between city and school district. And to me, there's no bigger anchor partner in our city than the school district.
Well, I appreciate that, and the city's been a tremendous partner for us. I mean, we talk, we share the same kids.
Yep.
We share the community, and I think it's really fun to work with a team at the city. That has a very similar vision, and we want the best things for our people.
Yep.
And we should work together, and we do.
I have to. 100% have to.
I think that's an awesome thing to have, and it's rare.
Right.
So we are one city, one school district. We have one police department. We have one fire department. We have one, we work with recreation, trying to expand some of those things.
Yep.
But I think that's a lucky thing for me as a superintendent to have that kind of relationship with the city where you can pick up the phone and I know I can talk to you. Cindy will text me, things to get our kids opportunities and vice versa. So,
yeah, it is rare for us to just have one city, one school district, one police department.
Yep.
Because other districts have multiple jurisdictions. And so when new legislation comes in place, for example, for school safety and security, they have to work with multiple jurisdictions and municipalities, and that would be hard.
It simplifies things a ton.
Yeah, so it's nice. And it's also rare that the two heads of the two organizations are old teammates.
Absolutely.
And so we already had a built-in relationship. We immediately can start talking real talk, straight talk. We have had hard conversations, haven't we?
100%. Yeah, and sometimes you have to, but we know that we both care about the same things and we want the same things. And so sometimes, you have to have maybe a hard conversation. Most of our conversations are pretty positive, though.
Mostly,
it's fun.
You're right.
Yeah.
But we also care about the same thing, meaning we care about chicken wings.
We do, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what we always do for every meeting. We're like, all right, let's go get chicken wings and let's talk about this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
For Ogden City, we are trying to lift our people. We look at upward mobility for the people that are here, right? When we create opportunity, we are trying to connect kids and families and people with those opportunities for upward mobility. certainly when you create opportunities, other people from outside of Ogden come here too. Much like I did, actually. I had an opportunity to play football and go to school at Weber State, and here I am, right? But the goal is to achieve upward mobility for as many people we have here as possible. And for me, I just don't see how we could ever do that for our future generations without relying on our anchor institutions in school and education, getting our kids upward mobility and opportunity and better performance and improvement in the classroom, right?
100%.
But you would also struggle for those kids to perform in school, show up on time and everything, and to prepare outside of school and have healthy and active lifestyles without good, stable neighborhoods, stable homes, access to recreation opportunities, et cetera, right?
Oh, hand in hand.
Which you rely on the city for.
Yes.
So that's why this is such an important partnership.
Yeah, we cannot do it alone. I mean, we say similar to you. I mean, I went to, played junior college football, had the opportunity to go to a few schools, Weber State being one of those. And I was born here, raised here, in and around the Ogden area. When I first got married, bought my first house in Ogden. My kids have graduated from Ogden High School.
Yep.
So being able to have that experience at Weber State, being able to come into this community was something that I treasure and look forward to. And yes, the partnership with the city is essential. We can't do this alone. We can't move things forward without a great partnership and a great community. And the things that you're trying to do only help put our students in a better situation.
Right. Well, couldn't be more proud than to partner with the Beast, Superintendent Beast. But, as we talk about giving people access to better opportunities and help them improve their lives, education is so fundamental. And, we've talked about it some when we have chicken wings and elsewhere, that a lot of people expect overnight results. They expect, to go from good to great overnight. And it's always been a process. We are in a grind to constantly always improve, right? And so when we talk about the Ogden Way, one of the things we always talk about is a constant mindset for growth and improvement and achievement toward your ultimate greatness, right? And the school district is no exception. You guys have been grinding on certain things, measurable things, achievement related, right?
100%. And growth is an important thing for us. We serve a community. Many of our students come to us before school, in kindergarten, with some of the lowest kindergarten readiness in the state. That's not an excuse. That's the community we serve, and we love those students. So trying to put mechanisms in place and processes in place, we have a real intentional focus on that early literacy space and that early learning space, and we've started to get some tremendous growth, but it takes time. And the thing that we're really focused on right now is growth. That if we can get our students to grow and get them to move, and we know that we can grow them more than a grade level, or we can grow them more than the typical student in Utah, which last year for the first time in the district history we did. We had the highest growth scores in our district's history, and the first time that we had met state benchmarks on early literacy growth. And so continuing to capitalize on that and help our students grow through our system, we know is going to pay dividends. So for us, that's where we're at. We know that achievement will follow. Growth is kind of that leading indicator. We know we're moving in the right direction. It's a good measurement for us to know that the things that we're doing are helping. And we just got to keep doubling down on that, and that's what we're doing. So we have a really tight strategic plan that really focuses on that early learning space, as well as what kids leave our system with. As far as we've done a lot of work with graduation rates, and we're in a really good spot there, really, really good spot. But we want to make sure that we're measuring what kids are leaving with, what credentials, what does an Ogden graduate look like? What do they leave the system with? And we also want that to complement the community. So
Correct.
We want those opportunities that they have to be in high demand, high paying jobs within our community. We want to meet the needs of the community as well. And so we have a lot of great partnerships with businesses, our growing internship program. You've connected us with aerospace. We had a great meeting with some aerospace individuals just 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
We are getting them in the classroom. They're building flyers. They're advertising opportunities for our students. We're literally testing their aptitude and interest in aerospace to identify some kids who can have that opportunity. And so that's one area that we're doing that in. But that's kind of, I think, evident of a partnership that's important, because the end result is opportunity for kids, opportunity for our community, and the whole system grows.
Yeah. So growth, as you guys define it, is an early indicator. Achievement is a lagging indicator, right?
Yep.
And one of the most important pieces of the Ogden way that we always talk about is connection. And just using that example you just mentioned. In fact, Brian Janroy was the guy in the aerospace industry that came to me and said, Mayor, we would love to work with Ogden City and the Ogden School District on testing aptitude and creating more of a pipeline for kids post-graduation into the industry.
Yes.
And then from there, a pathway into certifications and education and an opportunity, right? Just so happens, I think Brian is in the building right now working on some airport-related issues right now.
It's awesome.
That's how small this city can be at times. But it was fun when he asked me that. I'm like, let me call my former teammate and close friend, Luke Rasmussen. Right? We call him Beast. I'm going to keep saying that. But those bridges between the partnerships are critical. And since then, you guys are, because with industry coming to me coming to you, we set the table and we had a great meeting, and you've had a follow-up meeting since. I think we're on our way toward testing aptitude and interest so that kids are heading in the right direction for workforce development and career opportunity, right?
Yeah, and Brian brought up some good points when we met with him, and it's something that I believe in too. Some kids may have an interest, but they don't have the aptitude. Mm-hmm. And so how do we capitalize on growing that ability for those kids that are really interested in something, and vice versa? A kid may have a really high aptitude, but doesn't really know that they're interested in maybe going into aerospace. But when we present it to them the right way and say, or whatever that field is, but when we present it to them the right way and say, hey, you are showing that you have a lot of talent in this arena. Have you ever thought about that? Right. It's an opportunity to really flip the switch on for kids and get them into something productive.
It was an interesting paradigm because I didn't think about how aptitude, which kind of gets to like how you're wired. What are you good at? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And aligning your strengths and aptitude with your interests really accelerates achievement again, right?
Yep.
But before all of that, that's workforce. That's what I love the most about the district is how focused you are on workforce preparation and workforce development. And I want to talk about those pathways. But before all of that, getting back to the pre-K, like let's start young and go all the way through. If you guys, you said it's not an excuse, it's just the reality.
Yep.
You bring a lot of kids in pre-K or even K that don't have any pre-K, right?
Yes.
You guys have started some pre-K programming here in Ogden. Let's talk more about that entry point for kids.
Yeah. So we one of the alarming things to me when I first came into the superintendency, I spent my whole career in secondary education, just being honest. So that elementary space has been something that I've really had to dive into and learn, and it's been fun. But one of the alarming things to me was that when I discovered that our kids were coming to us with the lowest kindergarten ready scores the first week of kindergarten, in the state of Utah. So we've really doubled down on a lot of our pre-K efforts, but then we've really focused on that, accelerating that learning in kindergarten through third grade. And that's essential to help them have that success through our system. So that's just a big part of our strategic plan. What we're going to continue to focus on, if we have resources and efforts, you'll see that that's where a lot of that is going right now. And we rely on community partners. We have, the YMCA, we have Boys and Girls Club, we have other community partners that help us and are involved in that. We don't get funding for pre-K, so that's a challenge. So anything that we do in the pre-K space, we don't generate any, funding for that. So it is a reliance on the community, reliance on community partners to help us come in and establish some of those strong programs. So we've been able to triple our pre-K offerings. We've been able to enhance that. But then also when we do have our kids, we know we're going to get all of our kids in kindergarten, and we need to be prepared to move them quickly.
Gotcha.
So
you're seeing with the tripling of pre-K opportunity and offerings, are you seeing a difference when you guys get to that early intervention at the kindergarten entry point?
Yeah. So we've been able to see those kids that we can get into those pre-K programs come more prepared. Yeah. And so that's, we know it works.
And is it bear it out in numbers? Are you able to quantify that? You guys are very data driven. You have
for sure. And the biggest metric we have, the pre-K is relatively new as far as kind of measuring that they call it a PEEP test and a KEEP test.
PEEP and KEEP?
PEEP and KEEP. So we also have a cadence is another test that we give. When we were running our own preschool programs, they were we have metrics that show those kids were really growing and becoming in more kindergarten ready. Our partners have been so great because they've started to really align with a lot of what we're doing. So now that we have that and there's great alignment, we're excited to kind of see where that goes. The biggest number that we have is our kids will come in anywhere, about 33% of our kids are kindergarten ready. By the time they leave, they're over the 70th percentile. So we have a huge growth from the beginning of their kindergarten year to the end of their kindergarten year. And then we are working really hard to continue to duplicate that in first grade, second grade, and third grade.
Right. So the earlier you get in, the easier it is.
Then as they go through our system, they're going to have more opportunity.
So you have some huge growth early, still some more room for more growth. Right. You mentioned alignment. That's an enormous piece that the Ogden Way is about. You've seen my presentation. You understand how my pillars of human success work. One of those pillars, and one of the arguably the most fundamental besides public safety, would be education for these kids, right? And we see a lot of misalignment, and we're starting to see a lot more alignment across community partners. You had already started along those lines with the United Way, especially in the education space, paired with public health. Is that right?
Yep.
And so how is that alignment helping you guys achieve better results?
It helps a ton. So just over these last few years, like the United Way has been great. They've come in and really helped, and they have kind of shifted under some new leadership, and they are really laser focused on what is our strategic plan, and they want to know what our goals are. They want to know how they can help complement those goals. So we have meetings with them regularly that are all centered on that, and the resources that they have are aligned with what we're asking. Our people to do. And so that's huge because we're all, I always say we have to push the rock up the hill the same way. If somebody starts pushing in a different direction, you just get sideways, and you have competing initiatives, and
it's exhausting.
And so it can be exhausting. It can just end in not getting the results that we need. It can be confusing. It can be frustrating for employees.
It can actually be bureaucracy.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. So trying to cut some of that out, and so the partners that we have right now, I would say we probably have the most alignment we've ever had, and there's always room for improvement. We need to continue to do that, but that's essential to what we're trying to accomplish.
I will attest to the built-in alignment that I inherited in that education world, because and honestly give a lot of credit to the United Way and Julie Johnson and her team for having that leadership and seeing the need for alignment and asking our anchor partner, what are you trying to achieve and how can we help? So the Ogden Way framework, I'm actually proposing to bring the rest of the community to that level of alignment. That's what I'm trying to do as a city, right? You already have that piece in place for community health and for education, and I want to bring the other 5 pillars to bear. And that's not just me bringing the city, although we bring a lot of resource and ability here. It also brings a whole nother set of partners, but it can bring another big struggle. And so I'm happy to take on that part of the challenge, right?
Yep.
But really what we're doing is we're finally setting a table across the board, not just in education and health, not just here at the city and what we do and what we control, but for everybody and everything. I have a huge belief that you and I share the same constituents. We serve the same families and kids, and that's a single taxpayer. And we have to find ways to not compete, but to align and to share resources and spaces, right? So that we don't have to rebuild and be redundant in our services or in our facilities, so that those people's tax money are going as far as possible.
Yes.
Right. And you and I talk about that a lot, and we're doing a lot of things to help with that. Right.
Oh yeah. It's a essential piece, and where can we complement each other, and what resources can we share? And, we're opening the CJC building. Well, we're not opening it, but like the CJC building, partnership with the city and the county and the school district to provide this beautiful facility and safe place for kids that need it. And it was a great partnership that probably would have never gotten off the ground if we didn't have some sort of alignment together. More of that needs to happen. We have a tremendous relationship with the Tech College. We do with Weber State as well, but the Tech College allowed us, at a great savings to taxpayers, to be able to put a brand new, magnet high school on their campus.
Yep.
And we have kids now that are in full credential programs, getting certifications, industry standard certifications, going into, career, high demand, high wage jobs, and earning college credit, at the same time, and their high school diploma. And it's just shared resources, and what a value to taxpayers, what a return on investment. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I think we need to continue to look to for sure.
Correct. So CJC is building a new facility that they provide services for our
Yep.
police department like crazy. We need them to provide justice for children of abuse
Yes.
that struggle or are victims of abuse. And you guys offer your property up. They're able to, at a deep discount, be able to build a facility that the kids need without having to have the land prices because you guys were able to provide the space, right?
Yep.
We can contribute with infrastructure and other utilities, et cetera. That kind of partnership helps something like that come together. Same with the OTEC High.
Yes.
It's an incredible this is why I love what the school district does, because you're not just talking about K through 12. You're talking about providing a pathway for kids to succeed in life.
Yes.
Past
It's essential.
high school, right?
It's essential.
Getting them into a workforce, but again, not just based on their interests, but let's also look at their aptitude, and let's talk to industry through your city partner now, and now your industry partners. Industry, what do you guys need across all these sectors within your own industry for aerospace and defense, right?
Yep.
It's amazing how much need there is. And now you are able to start to prepare those kids as young as even middle school now, right? They're taking, you guys are talking about taking that aptitude in class or assessment.
Yep. In junior high.
So that when they get into high school, they know exactly what kind of pathway.
Yeah. Our goal, and we've achieved this already, is that every single student we have in junior high will have selected a pathway. That can be, the honors pathway as far as like AP classes and IB classes. Maybe these kids want to go out of state. Concurrent enrollment is a great option for so many kids, save so much money for families. They can, if they want to go to Weber State and that's where they want to go, or really anywhere. I mean, my own kids benefited greatly from the concurrent enrollment process. Saved me a lot of money as a dad because they graduated with so much college credit. So or the CTE pathway, one of the CTE pathways, there's many, but, we want our kids in junior high to have identified a pathway and a seamless transition to high school so that when they get with their counselor for the first time they're entering our high schools, they have an idea of what classes they want to take. That doesn't mean they can't pivot, but their pathway is on their student information system. Everybody knows that that's what they want to go into, and we can tailor their education based on that interest. And so that's something that we're really proud of. Early literacy for us is a challenge. That early learning space, that's an area where we still have a lot of room to grow, no question. We're seeing some great indicators of that moving, and it's been exciting. That's probably been, honestly, because I know how hard that is and how hard that work is and how hard that lift is. That's been probably the most gratifying thing for me. But probably the thing that we can hang our hat on right now in Ogden City School District is our pathways. So we have had double-digit growth in AP, IB, CE, and CTE coursework increases for 4 straight years. And so we have just kids that are moving through those pathways. More kids are engaging. We're getting more Hispanic students, more students across all demographics into those pathways. And that's something that I'm super proud of. And so our rigorous coursework is above the state level for the percentage of students that engage in what is called rigorous coursework. And that just is going to lead to more opportunity for our kids. And it will lead to better outcomes when they're taking harder classes. We're going to see achievement follow. And so we're really excited about that and going to continue that push because it directly impacts what happens for that student after high school, like you said.
So that was a lot of acronyms.
Yeah,
but
sorry,
that's okay. Like AP and IB, International Baccalaureate. Those are different. Let's just say those are different opportunities and pathways to excel and to achieve.
Yes, right.
That the school district provides that more kids are taking advantage of and are performing and achieving in.
Yes,
based on the scores. But still, you have to focus early on the early intervention to make sure that we're preparing them for these opportunities, right?
100%.
What good is it to test their aptitude and align them for the workforce when they're not able to take advantage of those opportunities because they didn't have early intervention and prepare them for that, right?
For sure. And I got to give credit to my teachers. I mean, there's so many teachers that have had a shift in mindset. They meet kids where they're at. I mean, that's one of the things I can honestly say about Ogden is our teachers meet kids where they're at, and they work hard to do that. They care about kids. Our administrators, we have an amazing administrative team. Our principals across the board are strong, and I'm surrounded by really great people in my district. And so we have a ton of great people, teachers. I mean, just unbelievable. And we've been able to keep our teachers. That's another thing that's really important. In particular, you talk about that early literacy space, and a lot of our teachers live in Ogden. Well, I was surprised when I pulled the numbers. It's over 50% of our teachers live in Ogden, and that's that's a great thing to have in our community. And so, but we've been able to keep teachers. So we've kind of flipped the script on having retention issues. We don't have to onboard nearly as many teachers. We have a really quality candidate list of teachers we wish we could find jobs for, prospective teachers that we wish we could find jobs for. But we just don't have a lot of openings. So that means that we are training our teachers and keeping them versus them leaving. You invest in an early literacy teacher, for instance, and you put them through all the letters training and all the different things that they have to do, and they leave after 4 years, and you're starting from square one again. So that's something that we need to continue to do, is to take care of our people.
Yeah. Whenever you and I have talked about your teacher retention, it always reminds me of our officer retention, police and fire.
Huge.
Right. You have to, obviously, you got to compensate them with what they're worth.
Yep. Or
at least give them enough compensation that they feel valued in their compensation. But it's also about creating a culture and a place that they enjoy being, and where they feel supported, right?
Yep.
Where they're actually, they don't just think they could find success, but they're feeling like that they're achieving as well, just like they're hoping to help the kids achieve. They're achieving achievement with and for the kids, right?
And they feel good, they feel appreciated, and they feel valued, and that is compensation, but it's a bigger culture. And I think for me, culture trumps strategy. You can have all these ideas and all these different things you want to do. You have all these, whatever curriculum you're using, whatever that is, that's important. But if you have the right culture, you're going to see movement and you're going to get things done. And that's just the way I've tried to approach my job, whether I was a principal, a coach, or now a superintendent, that you got to get that culture right, and you got to continue to focus and invest in your culture.
You have to have the culture. Yeah. Like, what good is a strategic plan if you can't implement it? And you can't implement it 100%. If you don't have a good culture. Because if you don't have a good culture, you're not going to have the right people. And right, that's something that, I don't know, maybe people like us learn in real time and have a very intimate knowledge and experience with. But I feel like as I brought the Ogden Way, it has to be iterative and adaptive over time. You can't just put it in and say, do everything all at once. There are fundamental building blocks to it, right? We started by, in my first 100 days, I set a broad vision, and I talked about the values that we're going to espouse. And from the values, we worked toward building a mission for our people here. And that connected to the values: service, opportunity, facilitating success for others, having grit and determination, being innovative in the way that we do it, being collaborative in the way we do it with each other, Absolutely. And then that connects with a vision for our community outside of these walls. And what does our mission do to help serve that vision for the city, right, as a whole? And then from there, what are we going to do with it? What do we have to do? And we got to take the pillars and find alignment with our partners, because we can't expect to do it all here, right? That takes time to put into place. It takes multiple fiscal cycles and multiple mayors' proposed budgets to the council, and right. So these things don't happen overnight. They do take time, but it is happening.
Yes.
I will tell you, Luke, from personal experience, that, and I say this to you a lot, but just from personal experience, it's a good time to be in the district. I've got 2 girls in the school district. Everything you just said about teachers, you can find an exception everywhere on everything. But I believe you because I see it.
Yeah.
I see it for my girls, and I see it with the teachers that I interact with. They're committed people, right? They care.
Yes. I think to be a teacher in Ogden, knowing that there might be some more challenges than if you were to go somewhere else, I think their mindset is to help kids. And that's what we run into consistently. You go visit our schools and it'll brighten your day, and we need to, sometimes that narrative in education is the same, like change, and it's not happening fast enough, or this isn't, it's not going where we need it to go. But you go to visit schools and you see that immediately. That's the best time of my job, is when I get to be in schools. I wish I need to do it more. But my favorite part of my day or week is when I get to go visit schools and see kids and see what teachers are doing for them. Yeah. My kids benefited too, my own kids, and that's something I'm super proud of.
Remember that day that United Way does, like, it's a literacy day? We go and read to kids in the schools. I remember seeing you there. We were at Odyssey Elementary, and I remember the way I felt when I walked in, being greeted by Principal Sonia Davidson, right? Sonia's a gem, dude. She's just an absolute gem for Ogden and for kids. The way she made me feel when I walked in, the way her staff made me feel the way we were all embraced. We all went out there and read to the kids and came back. You could just see it wasn't just for us. They were doing what they always do.
Yes.
Right? And that's the feeling you're talking about. That's culture.
Yes.
Right? And you build culture over time. The more deliberately and progressively and adaptively that you build culture, the more sustaining it is. If the faster you try to change it, the faster it can change back. Right? And so invest early in culture, have a strategy for developing the culture, but also have a strategy for implementing when you have that culture, right?
Yep. Listening to your people, communicating, making adjustments where needed. Sonia's a great example of that. She's such a good principal. I mean, I have many, but she takes that and just runs with it at her school. Her employees are happy. The kids know they're loved. I mean, she does a great job. Even
down to Officer Evans.
He's absolutely amazing.
Resource officer. He loves going down to the elementary, loves those kids deeply.
He's like part of the staff.
Yes.
He just integrates right into that process. He's loves the kids. I mean, he's part of that culture.
Absolutely.
100%.
And he's the same way when he's here at the department. We all love Bob.
Absolutely.
Bob loves everybody here. He cares deeply for everybody.
Our SRO team,
can we talk about that for a second?
Is unreal.
Right.
So our school resource officers, shout out to them as well. I mean, Mike Flint is the sergeant or the lieutenant. Sergeant Flint. Yeah, sorry. Sergeant Flint, he is so great at just listening and adapting. He wants to make things better. He's talked to me before about he loves to leave things in a better place from when he came on, and he does that, and his whole team does that. So we have a great team of resource officers. They fit the schools. They care about the kids. They want to be there. They communicate so well with the administration. They build relationships with kids.
Yep.
It's awesome. I mean, we have one of the only police dogs in the state that
I know, right?
That is at Ben Lomond High School.
Piper.
She's integrated in that school. The kids love her.
Cute pup.
Helps keep our kids safe. Reed Mackley's the officer. He went to a bunch of training to be able to do that. But kids love him. I mean, he's like part of the graduation ceremony. I mean, so our SROs, we're lucky to have the team of officers that we work with.
That is a testament to OPD, period. Reed Mackley, that's a testament to him, not as a good officer, but as a good man, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That's what makes him a good officer. In testament to Chief Subi and leadership of OPD, what they do is they find people, and it's becoming even more important now. They want to find people that want that have that calling, and to nurture their connection, their ability to connect with youth, right?
Oh,
and put them in place to succeed. It kind of gets back to the aptitude again. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Not only are you interested, but do you have the ability to connect with these kids?
Yeah, and it's evident. I mean, I couldn't say enough about them. I could keep rambling about the officers, but they're just great.
Yeah. Well, keep rambling about OPD and our officers, please.
Yeah.
I'll never stop.
Everybody I talk to, we're just lucky to have that team that we have. And they meet the needs of what we need, whether it's extra support at an event, whether it's, we have maybe a population of kids that needs a little bit extra attention. So integrating into the school to give them that attention.
Yep.
There's really not been a time where I've had an ask or I've communicated with them about a need that they haven't come right back and tried to meet that need. Yeah. And most of the time have.
Did you know that Logan at Mount Ogden Junior High is my chief of staff's daughter?
I did not know that. Oh, yes, I did too know that. I knew that about Cindy. Yeah, Logan's another perfect example.
Right?
She's unreal. I mean, she understands kids. She understands some specifics about certain types of kids.
Yeah.
And she's able to use that skill set to help us and support us. And so Logan, she's great. Well, and I did know that, Cindy, because we talked about it.
Yep. And they're also there to keep our kids safe so they can have a safe place to learn, right?
Oh, 100%. School safety, big deal, and we take it very serious, very, very serious in Ogden, implementing, some legislation right now, and without a great resource officer team and in a police department to help us with that process.
Could you imagine?
It does not happen.
What if you had to have all 5 different cities to work with?
Oh yeah, it can be a very big challenge.
That would be brutal.
Yep. And I've been in Davis District, and that's a challenge there. I mean, they have multiple cities, multiple police departments, with different articulation agreements and different things, and but I think that's really nice to have the one, but the one we have is pretty good.
It's the best.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Yeah,
you don't just have one; you got the one.
Yeah. And I
100% agree.
And I mean that.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I'm not just making it up because I want to. Like, I truly believe it because I've seen it. I experienced it. The things that you see in these jobs and watch your people do, and they're like, I don't know how you were able to make that decision in that moment, but I'm sure glad you did.
I mean, they're willing to work with, there was just an article, my school board. I mean, they, I have a member on my school board who has an autism registry, and they're working to have kids registered in the autism registry. And the police department's working with one of my school board members to help do that and to help make the community more safe. And so there's example after example of where that is occurring. So Stacy Brunell, has a powerful mindset on helping kids with autism, and she's working really hard to do that. And she's worked directly with the chief of police and on helping establish a registry.
So that if a call comes in for one of those kids, there's a registry, meaning yeah, if you're a parent of a child with autism, you get them on that registry, and when that call comes in, the officer hears it and they know they're on that registry. They know to approach things with that in mind.
Absolutely.
There's power in that knowledge for our officers in that moment. And I'm really proud of our department being the kind of department that seeks that out and puts it into place and drives it forward for actual use in our day-to-day work.
For sure. And I got to give, my school board is also very supportive. So that, I think that's an element that sometimes people maybe don't understand unless they're really ingrained in a school system. But great things don't happen if you don't have a governing board that helps, publish great policies, that helps approve great policies, and that is willing to take risks and is willing to push the envelope a little bit. When we bring them a suggestion, they're willing to trust and believe that we're trying to do what's right for kids. And we have a very supportive school board. So you don't run into walls. You don't try to go down a road of trying to do something that's really great for OTEC High, keeping your teachers.
The box,
there was a lot of initiatives that we had to do to create longevity for our teachers. And they had to be willing to listen to that. They had to be willing to understand that. So being able to support those great things that we have happening is huge. And I'm very blessed to have walked into a situation with a great school board.
I remember when you guys were going through the teacher salary and the retention issues, and we were going through the same things with police and fire retention and salary and compensation. We had to make some really hard calls.
Yes.
Mission critical calls that helped us start to get caught up. And now I'm intent on making sure we stay caught up. We cannot go back to that.
Yeah.
It's too fundamental, right? But your school board what you have with your school board is critical, just the same as I have with our city council. I feel like I've got a city council that's got open minds. They are all good hearts, good minds. They absolutely hold me accountable, and they will put our staff, they will put the screws to us on every proposal. But they're not there saying no. They're saying, tell me more.
Yep.
And they're making us justify it. And it forces me to be way more prepared going in, knowing what they like and what they don't like. I have a good sense for what they will even entertain and what they won't. And for the public, when they see less arguing, they think that means that they think that's a bad thing for some reason.
It's like a rubber stamp.
Yeah.
But
and you're
it's
like,
not.
No, it's alignment.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's being communicative at meetings and outside of meetings, leading up to meetings, and preparing and having staff that are connected and that we're working toward the same goals. And when you see those kinds of administrative and policy bodies not fighting like that, we should all be thankful that we have good alignment. That means that we largely agree on what we're after and our values.
What you just said is exactly the process. There's so much work that goes behind some of these big initiatives. We're having committee meetings. Our board sits on many committees. We're doing a lot of legwork, behind the scenes, trying to make sure we're making the best decisions and bringing, board members along. They're involved in that discussion. We're sending out information for board meetings well in advance. There may be some questions that need to be answered, and some of that plays out in a board meeting. But generally, we've had a ton of great alignment, and that's due to the fact that we've seen results from the decisions we've made. But without that alignment, but it could be, and with sometimes from the outside view of like, well, everybody's just doing whatever, getting along, but there's a reason why. And that also has to do with culture.
Hard work. Yes.
It's a lot of hard work, and then there's a culture, and so there's a process to that works. And if you can get that right, you don't run into roadblocks, and it ultimately, at the end of that trail, are students who are benefiting. For me and for you, it's our citizens.
Yes, because we only have so much energy and so much time to give.
Yeah.
Why would we give it fighting over something that never
Doesn't
should
matter.
have been proposed anyway?
Yeah. Yeah. I would like to think when I bring my board something, it's very well thought out.
Right.
It's been vetted.
Yep.
I'm
well
not going to
prepared.
bring them a bad idea that I'm like, hey, this is something. No, there's going to be a lot of work
Right.
that goes into those proposals, whether it's a school closure, those are hard. But we've been very effective in kind of reducing some key elements
you
of
put
closure
data
and
behind it.
consolidating and
Right.
data and communication with the community and open houses and surveys and helping them understand the boundary change process, and all of those things are essential. And then those decisions are smooth. There will be some that there will be some strong opinions on 100%. But what I don't ever want to be accused of is that we didn't communicate, that we didn't push information out, that we didn't do the best we could to
Right.
unturn every stone, do demographic studies, whatever it
Yeah.
takes to make those big decisions.
We don't want to be accused that we weren't prepared,
No,
that we didn't do our homework on our
right.
I believe that I owe that to our city council. Like before I even transmit it to them for their consideration, that's how it starts for us is we send a transmittal. That's the required mechanism. Their office receives it. Their leadership team starts to chew on it. They communicate, this is what we received. It's still not ready to go onto an agenda. They have the calendar that they set, And so like we go through a process for vetting everything and proposing it and so on. And then they go through a process for vetting it and approving it or
100%.
denying it. And I'm not going to put anything through our process that I don't think they're going to be able to support, And
I do.
So I have a good sense, having been in their seats. I know what they're looking for and what they're not. I know what I think that they will consider and what they won't. And so I'm thankful to know that those things are actually really well aligned with what I'm trying to accomplish too. There are some nuances. I've done some different things in a little bit innovative or a little different direction or different way, but they've been open-minded to it largely. Right.
Yeah.
So I just say all this because I think lack of conflict is actually not a rubber stamp. It's a presence of alignment.
A presence of alignment and heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
For your students or for your community. And what you just said echoes true with the school board as well.
It does.
So they hold me accountable.
Yep.
I have to make sure that I'm bringing them, the information and informing them. And if something happens, I've got to inform them so that they're not blindsided by anything that I want them to hear it from me first if there's anything that they need to hear. And that's essential too.
Well, it's like I got to make sure that we do our homework because they're going to hold me accountable to that. And they're going to make sure that they do homework because the public's going to hold them accountable to that.
Yes.
And so I really do feel that it's a symptom that they are, we're not just in alignment with our city council, we're in alignment with our community who placed them there, right? And that's important when we talk about limited energy, resources, and bandwidth. We don't want to spend it fighting each other.
No.
We've got to find what it is we want to accomplish as a city. Make sure that it reflects what the people of the city want, right? So that they elect people that are aligned with those values and those visions, right? And then you can have that pathway through. It's a huge deal. There are cities across the country and in this state, in this area that don't have that.
Yeah, no, and it's the same with school boards. So this is, I think, why you and I can understand each other because there's a lot of parallels to what we do.
Yeah.
You were a defensive lineman. I was an offensive lineman.
So I was smarter.
You're a mayor. Yes, you're a mayor. I'm a superintendent. But I mean, it's there's some differences. But the process. I mean, there's a reason why the job expectancy of a superintendent is like 2.9 years. And I'm going into my 5th year, loving it here. Feel very supported, and that's a result of having a great board and great people around me.
Yeah.
Without that, I can't be successful.
And it's not like it just happened.
No.
Like it's made to happen by people doing work.
Yes.
Right. And you know what? The work, when I was on the city council, the most important thing is you have to listen and learn and understand before you take positions and strong positions in favor or against something. It all comes down to listening, learning, truly understanding, which takes a lot of work, right? That the community's putting us in these positions to do.
Absolutely.
They're counting on us to do that work, right? So I'm thankful to have a council that does that. I'm thankful we have a school board and a superintendent that does that, right? But I'm also thankful that we get to have you here. I'm thankful that it's an old teammate that's in that seat. I'm real proud of you, Luke.
Yeah, well, I'm proud of you too. Likewise, it's been fun. The communication is awesome. I couldn't ask for more.
I know. Well, I feel proud because I see the work that you're doing and that your team is doing, all of your staff, administrators, teachers, the families and the kids, and you're making progress toward that constant mindset of growth, right? So when people are critical of the district, which it's always easy to find something to be critical of, like I get defensive because I see the improvement happening. I see the work going into it. So keep up the good work. We need you to keep doing it. Stay in that position.
Love it.
And I'll just correct myself. I think if we were really being honest, I think you were the smarter one in college than I was. So
I don't know about that.
I might have been faster. You might have been slower, but you were
definitely
smarter.
more athletic. There was a reason why
dumber, right?
There was a reason why I was on the offensive side of the ball. I didn't run very fast.
Right. That's where all the people with no skills go.
Yes. Especially after a couple of your buddies blew my knees out. That it was
that Pelch?
That it was even worse. Santos.
Yeah.
One-on-ones.
Yeah.
It wasn't his fault.
Well, let's blame Woody.
Yes.
He's still in the neighborhood.
Yes.
We'll blame Fat Woody.
But go Wildcats, right?
That's right. Go Wildcats. Go Ogden School District. Go Ogden City.
Absolutely.
All about Ogden's people. Luke Rasmussen, Superintendent, Ogden School District. Thanks for being here. But before we wrap up, I want to wrap up with a call to action.
Okay.
For today's call to action, I was thinking that if you have a child in the school district, if you know somebody in the district, seek out these pathways. Find your alignment. Make sure your child is testing aptitude when they get to that middle school period, right? But follow up with it. The school will be, in terms of career counseling, right?
Absolutely.
Make sure that we are as parents. I'm excited for my kids to take that exam so that we can start talking about their aptitude and their interest. They're at that point, right? And then you guys are so aligned with our workforce needs for where our opportunities are, as based on the economic team that I have in place.
Let's keep them here.
Let's grow Ogden, grow our own, right? And find opportunities for upward mobility for the kids and the families of the people we have here.
Ogden's a gem.
Absolutely.
It's an absolute gem.
100%.
And I love it. And it's a beautiful place to live, and we're lucky to be here.
There you go. Ogden is a gem. Help us make sure that this gem shines as bright as possible by doing your part to take advantage of opportunities, being your best self, and helping those around you in the Ogden way to be their best selves too. Luke Rasmussen, Superintendent, Ogden School District, thanks for being with us. That is our episode of The Ogden Way.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.